Hi guys, and welcome back to Star Control 2. Today we're going to pump the Spathi High Council.
Welcome back to Spathi, Captain. We hope the material we provided your starbase engineers was sufficient for your needs. Perhaps, Captain, I will explain. We have been investigating the caster which we took away from the Unga after the Judd the Bug scandal 8 years ago. We have uncovered evidence of something strange going on between the Unga and the Ur-Rat over the past many years. We suspect that the Unga were using the caster to pull off some kind of long-term joke on the Ur-Rat, but we are unable to glean any more details. Certainly. About what? Since we never wanted to be in the hierarchy, and we are afraid of all the other members, our knowledge on this subject is a bit limited. But I'll tell you what I know. The hierarchy is the construct of the Ur-Quan. It exists to maintain their supreme authority over all sentient life forms in the galaxy. As far as we know, there are 6 other races active in the hierarchy, including the gelatinous Unga pranksters, the multi-legged, super-violent Ur-Rat, who are fanatical in their worship of Dogar and Kazan, the Tradash, a weak and obnoxious race from the Draconis group of stars, the humanoid clones you call Androsynth, though they have been strangely absent for some years, the vain Vox, commanded by the brilliant and eccentric General Lex, and the mysterious Mycon, who ramble endlessly about people, places, and events from long ago as though they happened just today. If there are other hierarchy races, we are not aware of them. Since we tend to stay close to home, preferably in the living room, we know little about other races beyond our neighbors such as the Unga. Before being subjugated by the Ur-Quan, the Unga were a contented and peaceable race who inhabited the region of stars which you call Orionis. They spent their time happily exploring and mining the nearby planetary systems and engaging in elaborate and, to our way of thinking, cruel practical jokes. One particularly nasty prank was the time they broadcast a trick message through space declaring the arrival of the Grand Master Planet Eaters or some such nonsense. This caused several alien cultures to go mad with panic, including, you might be surprised to know, ourselves. Before the evil ones appeared, we Spathi were a simple folk. We were content with our calm lives, our rude huts, and our coarse-woven turtleneck sweaters. I suppose we could have remained that way for eons, were it not for the sudden arrival of a million voracious monsters from hell. We have never quite figured out where they, the evil ones, came from. The few specimens we collected, who had mostly died of tooth decay from eating sweet, snappy flesh, were physiologically unlike any other species from Spathiwa. It was as though they had arrived suddenly on the surface of our planet, transported there by some unknown agency. But that is nonsense. Who could be so cruel? You mean the one we helped demolish? That one? Well, we had some contact with Alliance members before the Ur-Quan showed up, mostly with the Chen Jasu, who stopped off here occasionally when they were on their way to explore the galactic core. Actually, their last visit was interesting. They were returning from the Tukane star systems, where they said they had found a new alien race called the Dick or something like that. The only other race we ever dealt with was the Mernherm, who once tried to colonize Beta Hercules, which we considered within our sphere of influence. When we explained this to the Mernherm, they politely withdrew from the contested star system and never bothered us again. Like all other races, we have found evidence of the precursors scattered throughout our space. Our belief is that the precursors are not really gone. They simply came to their senses one day and used their superior technology to invent some kind of perfect invisibility shield and remain alive and happy to this day. We hope to rediscover the secret someday and disappear into similar obscurity. One other thing, we haven't been able to translate much of their writing, but we understand one fragment of text. It mentions a sequence of 10 artificial waste disposal sites they built somewhere around here. I suspect that even garbage from the precursors would be of incredible value. Good. I don't feel much like talking about that anyway. No. Goodbye, Hunem.
And I'm going to keep coming back just to get a bit more info out of them, so here we go.
What can we, the High Spathi Ruling Council, do for you? Yes, and the news is not good. As you know, Androsin space borders our own, and while we never really liked the Androsin, it seemed that they weren't out to kill us, as everyone else seems to be. Imagine our shock when we learned that they had been invaded and eaten by those fishfolk, the Urs. Well, actually, we don't know if the Urs ate anybody, but we're sure they did something creepy. I sure hope that you're not considering an alliance with them, Captain. They are dangerous. Goodbye, Hunem.
Dangerous, huh? Sounds interesting.
Hello, Captain. What brings you here today? I guess we forgot to tell you this a while ago, sorry. But we've been so busy lately working on the preparations for returning to Spathiwa that I'm afraid it just slipped my mind. Okay, that's all. Hey, I gave you an apology. What more do you want? Oh, right, the thing I forgot. Yes, I remember now. It was something odd that happened to us when we first met the Ur-Quan. We sent out a ship to meet the oncoming dreadnoughts. We wanted to tell the Ur-Quan about the evil ones so they could safely avoid our planet. But when we got close, the Ur-Quan started blasting out this overwhelming signal. Sentient life, we are the Ur-Quan. Independence is intolerable. Blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Anyway, in a moment of panicked genius, the captain blurted out, "Hold! What you are doing to us is wrong! Why do you do this thing?" To everyone's amazement, the Ur-Quan fleet stopped dead in space. The Ur-Quan fixed a tight communication beam on the ship, and the creature spoke a long while and with great passion, almost as though it were intoning a high ritual. The words he spoke were of planet-shaking significance. At least, we assume so. We can't really be sure because all of the Spathi on board at the time were curled tightly in their shell cases and couldn't hear very well. Maybe if you get the opportunity, Captain, you can try to ask the question again. Goodbye, Hunem.
Well, certainly some funny information there out of the Spathi. Question that we can potentially ask the Ur-Quan should we ever run into them, and you've probably pretty much guessed we will run into them at some point. I'm just heading here to Delta Virginis because that's going to be one of the planets I intend to mine. However, couple of other interesting facts. First, about the Umgar. They might be people that we want to look out for. Oh, being chased. And the Androsynth have apparently vanished, taken over by the Urs. Now, the Spathi did call the Urs dangerous. I've actually sidestepped to Alpha Centauri here. But anyone powerful enough to wipe the Androsynth out, I want to know about them. Anyway, on to the Melnome.
I had itchy pods this morning, Captain, and here you are. Now, what can we do for you today? What would you like to sell, Captain? The 141 units of biological data we downloaded from your ship earn you 282 credits. What trade items would you like to buy today? How much fuel do you wish to purchase? Fuel transferred to your vessel. How wonderful, Captain. No doubt you are familiar with an alien race called the Ur-Quan, who live in the Orion's constellation. While they are renowned for their potent and often cruel sense of humor, they have outdone themselves in recent years. Specifically, they have used an unusual hyperwave caster to impersonate the Ur-Rat gods, Dogar and Kazon. When the Ur-Rat began tuning in to the voices of their gods on their hyperwave receivers, the priest caste was understandably skeptical and counseled their many followers to ignore the blasphemous signals. However, in a surprise move, the majority of the Ur-Rat then rose up and slaughtered the entire priest caste. The reasons for this ghastly move included overtaxation, lack of quality depth in ceremony, and the general feeling that the priests had made Dogar and Kazon's pronouncements overly complex.
Definitely sounds like the Ur-Wrath to me, although the Umgar are becoming people that I really want to meet, and we might see them next time.
As you know, there are weaknesses in the division between dimensions. For example, your vessel uses such weaknesses to enter hyperspace. However, there are other weak spots in the galaxy which lead to yet different dimensions. One such portal exists nearby, between the Chandrasekhar and Colum Bay constellations. The portal opens only a short time each month, starting on the 17th. Since we have never entered the portal, we can give no more information on this subject.
That's the same portal that the Spathi mentioned, so it will certainly be worth our while to look into that in the future.
What else would you like to buy? It has been a pleasure dealing with you, Captain. We look forward to your next visit.
Well, time for us to make the short trip back home to Earth to drop our stuff off with the Commander.
I'm at your disposal, Captain. By the way, I thought you should know, Captain, a delegation of Spathi has just arrived here under orders from their High Council to form an alliance and assist you against the hierarchy. They have provided fabricator blueprint data for their eluder spacecraft and promise a steady supply of captains for as many ships as we build. Excellent work, Captain. Good work, Captain. Bring back lots of minerals, Captain.
So, let's see what we can do now to upgrade our systems. Well, first things first, my crew took a beating during that time away mining and with the Zokfot pit and with the Spathi, so let's refill them up. And yeah, why not? We're going to buy ourselves another Spathi eluder. These ships are awesome, so we might as well have another one of those. And that pretty much sees us straight for a little while. So next time we're going to investigate the Umgar. I will see you next time.